What's going on, guys? Gonna make a fast one. Heard Andrew Ruiz said he wants 50 mil to fight Anthony Joshua. If it's to happen, if the rematch is gonna happen in the UK, he wants 50 mil, which I think is 40 million in pounds. Um, I agree. I'm in full agreement. He first of all, he's the champion, so he's the one that really gets to make demands. Not the guy who just got steamrolled. Um, Obviously, Eddie Hearn and Team AJ think, AJ mainly lost just because, he was in foreign territory and whatnot, which, an excuse. Um, Rather than AJ's lack of ability to clinch, um, he had a piss poor jab. He was mentally not ready for the fight. You can tell, even just the build up, the way he was talking. He had a black eye before the belt, which indicated that he got, probably hurt in sparring and apparently got knocked out or at least stopped in sparring. So um, it was just ultimately a bad camp, and a kind of a bad omen. No one even wanted to see him fight Big Baby Miller from jump, and then he ended up fighting Andrew Ruiz, who, if you knew or paid attention to boxing, knew Andrew Ruiz was not to be slept on. My main worry about Andrew Ruiz was that it was such a short camp, but again, it might have been a blessing in disguise, because he was so ready already. And his last fight wasn't, I think it was an early knockout too. So, um, which is another sign why fighters should stay active. I feel like boxing 2019 has been almost like a lesson year. Like, it's okay to fight, more than twice a year. Like, it's actually a good thing to fight 2, 3, 4 times a year. Obviously not every fight you're going to face, 50-50 or 60-40, 55-45 fights, but activity is good. One, it makes you sharper as a fighter. You stay more active, you stay in shape, it keeps you closer to the gym, which means not only are we seeing, our favorite fighters more actively, but we're seeing the better versions of them because they are so active. Iron sharpens iron. So, that's why, people may clown Ray Robinson for fighting, 170 fights or whatever, but reason why he's arguably the greatest fighter ever is because he was so active. Sure, every once in a while he'll fight a cab driver or whatever, but he also fought Jake LaMotta, good fighter. Same thing with Henry Armstrong. Same thing with Roberto Duran. He had well over 70 fights. Same thing with Pacquiao. He's got about 70 fights now. B Hop's got over 60, I think. I think Tommy Hearns has over 60 fights. Hagler's got well over 60. So you think about the greatest fighters of all time, a lot of them have well over 50 wins, Like I said, I just named a couple. So, um, of course, not every fight's going to be a mega fight, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't fight at all, So, um, but you gotta love what you do. It's kind of like what people say about NBA players. It's not that they're not great. It's just they love what the NBA can do for them rather than just them loving basketball and you just happen to make a ton of money from it. And that's, you can argue any sport or anything you do really is kind of like that. Sure, you can make a lot of money doing it, but are you going to love what you do? Because you're not really working if you love what you do. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not a job. It's real life. It's a career. That's what I love about boxing. Boxing's like a lot like life. Um, whatever you put out, whatever you put in is what you're going to get out of it. So, it's a lot of talent in boxing, but if they're not fighting regularly, you're not going to really see it as much. People won't know unless you show. So, just a little rant there, but Andrew Ruiz demanding 50 mil if it's in the UK, full support. I don't think they'll be able to pull up the money for 50 mil. If that was the case, they could have fought Wilder in the UK for 50 mil, but like Wilder was telling AJ all of last year, the money's in America. Um, I'm with Andrew Ruiz. I would, push for the rematch to be in Mexico, Texas, California, whatever. He's the champ now, so. Um, and he said he's down to fight Wilder after Joshua, which again, I'm all, I'm all for undisputed. Um, Wilder, should he take care of Ortiz? I would actually go the undisputed route first, and then you can take on the Tyson Fury, which only makes the fight bigger because now it's for undisputed bragging rights. So whoever wins, you're not only undisputed, you have all 4 belts, plus you're the lineal champ too. So, um, if I'm Team Wilder, that's probably what I would do. Plus, Andy Ruiz is also on the PBC side, so and you'll finally accomplish your goal of being undisputed. So, me personally, if I'm Wilder, beat Ortiz, and then take on Andy Ruiz Jr. next, and then whoever wins that, go for Tyson Fury. Um, that's the route I would definitely take. I do think Ruiz beats Joshua in the rematch. Um, Definitely, if it's in America. If it's in the UK, we'll see. I don't know. The UK fighters, it seems like when they fight outside of America, they don't do as well. Anthony Joshua, Katie Taylor. Well, actually, you can't say Katie Taylor. Katie Taylor actually had a good performance before her last one. I think it was just a bad style for her. Josh Kelly looked horrible. Um, let's see who else. Carl Frampton. He's had some up and down performances here in America. He looked great against Leo Santa Cruz in the first fight, but in the rematch he didn't look good. But I think that's more because Leo Santa Cruz used a better jab in the rematch. Um, Joe Calzaghe, he had a couple of good performances here, but older Roy Jones, and he still got dropped in that fight. I think B-Hop dropped him too. Just because you get dropped doesn't mean you can't win or have a good performance. But I'm just saying. I think he just outworked B-Hop, Joe Calzaghe. That was a long time ago. I was probably like middle school. But sorry, I just went through memory lane. But there's some good fights though. But I think that's why UK fighters would probably fight more in America, like sprinkle it in every now and then. Kind of like Josh Taylor. I think his first fight was in Texas. His first pro fight was in Texas, and he's had a couple of fights here and there in America. So I think that's why, now that the World Boxing Super Series, the last one was in Glasgow, but the fight before that, I think that was in the States. I think this one with Prograis might be in the States, or they might do it in the UK. I'm not sure. Um, I think that's also something that's kind of lost in boxing is fighters fighting everywhere. Ray Leonard versus Duran, that fight was in Canada. The first fight was in Canada. I think the rematch was in the Superdome. Obviously Muhammad Ali, George Foreman was in Africa. So it's not a bad. I don't know why fighters don't like to travel. Well, actually, I do. You feel like you're gonna get robbed or something. So maybe not in the UK per se, but you can fight in Canada, you can fight in Africa. China. Pacquiao's done great fights over there. Not that the fights were great, but I'm talking about the attendance was great. When he fought Brandon Rios, Chris Algieri. Those arenas look packed out. So just something to look into. Boxing it used to be a world sport. But we'll see what happens. But we'll see what Andy Ruiz decides to do with the AJ rematch. I don't think they can pull up the money for 50 mil in the UK. And I don't know if DAZN wants to invest in that, especially after AJ's last performance where he looked horrible. So we'll see what happens. But boxing, it's looking a little bit better. It's giving me more hope for, the mega fights that we want. Like I said, Crawford, Earl Spence, we actually might get end of this year, which I didn't think would happen until late next year or even early 2021. But we might get it this year, so I'm all for it. Josh Taylor, Prograis, great fight. Been looking forward to it all year. We might get Inoue versus Donaire at the end of the year. Kind of a passing of the torch of top Asian fighters in small divisions. We'll probably get Canelo Triple G3 rubber match. Not crazy about the trilogy, but I get it. It's the big money fight for DAZN, and DAZN definitely needs all the help they can get, especially with their stars not looking good lately, like Joshua. So we'll see what happens, but let me know what you guys think. I know it was kind of all over the place video, so I might title it as kind of just a scrambled video. But drop your thoughts in general about where do you think boxing is going. Hope for big fights in the future. Andrew Ruiz, you think he's in the right, demanding 50 mil to fight over there in the UK for 50 mil? Drop comments, like, subscribe, share the video. Take it easy. Out.